It's not easy for me to open up like this, but I think it needs to be done, right? The only way we're gonna reduce stigma is by being honest and saying about what's actually going on out there. The initial reason for going to school was just to get money, thousands of dollars, because I needed dental work that I couldn't afford. So it was literally a scheme that I came up with of how I could get some money. If I don't have the money to do it, there's nothing he can do. So he prescribed me Percocets. I started off, I was taking 2 a day, and I thought the 8 a day was absolutely ridiculous. Who would need 8 a day, right? Just the 2 made me high. But as time went on and tolerance built, of course, before I knew it, I was taking 12 a day and running out of the prescription 2 weeks early, right? And then going out on the street and making friends with people to find more, right? And it was kind of at that point that I realized I had a problem. Now I have a drug problem because I'm in pain, and all the several $1,000s separates me from being able to escape the pain. At the minute I felt the high, the euphoria from opiates, it was like, where have you been all my life, right? And since I was a child, I'd been using drugs and substances. When I look back, I also had trauma, dealing with my mom having mental illness and stuff, exposed to her suicide attempts at a really young age. And I learned to deal with that by just going out and using drugs and trying to forget about it, right? Opiates, when I first tried that, it was like the medication to treat what I'd been suffering with, right? So upon finding that, and it's like, okay, this is it. This makes me feel great. This makes me feel normal. This makes me, a good member of society. I cut off the prescription eventually, but of course all that did was put me out on the street, and now I'm, finding them on the street. It didn't, stop me from using them. So that in hindsight, stopping the prescription didn't really work to stop the problem. Now I'm on methadone every day, and that's really it. It kind of eliminates the need to use anything on the street. I believe in harm reduction because I think it respects personal autonomy. The idea that the person gets to decide, what's right for them, especially when their medical treatment comes into play. And as far as I'm concerned, the decision to take drugs, substances, whether I'm in a doctor's office, a hospital, or an alleyway, it's a medical decision. We have to meet the individual where they are, not tell the individual where they need to be. I think it's much more complicated than what the average person thinks, where it's just, say no to drugs, drugs are bad. These slogans do not represent real life. We trade the highest highs for the lowest lows with opiate addiction, right? Like you never feel better than when you have opiates, but you'll never feel worse than when you don't. And I think a lot of people out there, that's the trade that they're making every day. Because abstinence doesn't work for me. Abstinence is the wrong choice. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that. They think that in every scenario, using drugs is the bad choice. And I don't agree with that. When I was on opiates, I was able to keep all the balls in the air, right? But when I stopped taking them, I started dropping balls. And life kind of falls apart like that.